listening to Reality Wrap. I'm your host, Melanie. Thanks for listening and enjoy the show. Hey guys, hope everybody is doing great out there. Today I'm going to be recapping last night's episode of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, Season 14, Episode 9, which I guess is now mid-season. We're halfway through. Overall, I'm going to give this episode a C. This season is starting to become repetitive. Nobody else seems to have anything going on. So far, this season is really focused around Dorit and Kyle, which honestly, the rest of the cast should really be happy that Dorit decided to bring her beef with Kyle on camera this season, because honestly, there'd be nothing else. That's all we have so far. I'm hoping the rest of the season goes differently. I think we could use a little bit more Kathy, or as Sean would call her, Monster, at this point. At least she brings a little bit of kookiness in, because I'm starting to get a little bored. Sorry. This episode starts out over at Kyle's, and they are making it very clear that she is all alone in her big, beautiful house. I wonder if once Portia graduates and moves out or goes to college, if Kyle will sell that house. I mean, on one hand, it is a gorgeous house. I could see where she wouldn't want to give it up. But on the other hand, it's this big, giant house, which is just going to feel empty when there's nobody else living in it except for her. Although I have to say, she probably doesn't spend all of her time in this house. She seems to travel a lot, and she has her other house up in Aspen, which she goes to, it seems like a couple times a year. She definitely goes there in the summer and in the winter, obviously, to go skiing. Anyway, we see her call Portia, and she's asking Portia, like, what's going on? I think she was spending the night over at her dad's house. Portia tells her that she's getting ready to go to lunch with her sisters, and Kyle immediately starts asking her, well, where are you going? What time are you meeting? Because she wants to come. And you can hear it in Portia's voice that she doesn't want her mom there, but she doesn't want to come out and say, Mom, you're not invited. It's just going to be us sisters, which is 100% okay. It's good for siblings to get together without the parents, just to hang out. I really hope for Kyle's sake that she doesn't latch on her children as a way to keep busy. She tells us in her talking head that she thinks that the girls get together to talk about her and Mo and what's going on with them. Or maybe they just want to hang out and be sisters, and it has nothing to do with what's going on between you and Mo, Kyle. She needs to just let them go off and live their lives on their own. Certainly, Kyle has other stuff going on that she's not sharing about it. I don't believe that she's just sitting around her house lonely all day long. We know Kyle still hangs out, dates, whatever, with Morgan, because they were photographed back in December together. But it sounds like Morgan wants nothing to do with the show, so Kyle is not allowed to talk about her, which for us, being the audience, is kind of weird, because last season we heard all about her. We saw Kyle go get a tattoo of Morgan's initials put on her arm, and now suddenly this season, nothing. I mean, not a mention of her name. Kyle calls Erika, and she's telling Erika that she's sick of everything, and how she's had her marriage questioned, her personal life questioned, and now her integrity. But here's the thing with Kyle. She tried to pretend like there was nothing going on with her and Mo. She denied it when clearly there were major issues. Suddenly they're getting separated, and she tells us that there was something that he did that she couldn't forgive him for, but she wasn't going to say what it is. Again, bringing something to camera, but then getting mad at us when we want to know what it is. Like I already stated, she brought Morgan on last season. She did this video with her that was suggesting that her and Morgan had a thing going on, kind of like Mrs. Robinson. She pretended to be close with Dorit when in her mind, she was not actually close with her, and she's actually closer with PK. She's now said that like multiple times, that she and PK are like brother and sister. So everybody is questioning you for a reason. You pretend to be one way on TV when really you're another way. And if you don't want people to call you out, then get off the show or stop pretending. Boze and Dorit meet up, and Boze asks Dorit what's going on, because she's feeling like this energy about Dorit. She brings up how Dorit had said that Kyle was one of the first people that she told about her problems in her marriage and her separation with PK. But Kyle is claiming that she had no idea. Boze asks Dorit if she knew that there was going to be a separation, and she's like, no, I had no idea until the day that we got separated. Apparently, it was PK's AA sponsor's idea that they take a break. And on the after show, Dorit also says that apparently the sponsor was also getting involved on how they were raising the kids and was overstepping their boundaries, and that is why I guess PK got rid of them as a sponsor. I'm curious who this sponsor is. She did say that the person was a friend first and then became PK's sponsor. Maybe that's why they felt like they were entitled to tell them how they should be raising their children and what they should be doing in their marriage. I don't know. I don't really know a whole lot about AA, but it seems like having an AA sponsor who used to be your friend probably isn't the best idea, that you would maybe need somebody who's totally not part of your life other than just being part of your sobriety. I don't know. Again, like I said, I know nothing about AA, so I could be totally wrong here. We're now on to Garcelle and Sutton. They're getting ready to go to dinner with Kyle, even though Garcelle has invited them all over the next day to her beach house. Both of them feel like Kyle is doing this preemptively before they all get together the next day, because nobody's seen her since she ran out of Boze's house, and strategically, she only invited Erika, Garcelle, and Sutton. Kyle and Garcelle arrived to dinner first. Kyle wants to know why Garcelle went over to Boze's house after Kyle had read the text to them when Garcelle doesn't even know Boze. And I'm like, do you mean like how you went over to Boze's house to make sure that Boze got your side of the story with your fight with Dorit? The hypocrisy of this woman makes me crazy. She very much has a set of rules that she expects these women to follow, yet she doesn't have to. Garcelle points out to her that her text to PK sounded more than just the jokes and memes that she claimed it to be, especially when she said to PK that he could confide in her. Kyle tries to somehow relate her saying this to PK to her knowing PK for years. So of course she has text messages from him throughout the course of the time that she's known him, which is not at all the point that everybody is trying to drive home to her. She sent PK a text in response to him and Dorit announcing that they were getting separated, where she tells him that he can confide in her and she will not repeat it. She keeps trying to lead this conversation away from that specific point. Now she's like, oh, but I've known him for years, so of course I have texts from over the years about stuff. That's not the point, Kyle, and you know it. I will say I love how the editors are doing Kyle dirty this season, because they show us a flashback of multiple clips of Kyle confronting the various ladies on the show about how they need to address things that are going on in their lives. She tells us in her talking head that the women questioning her is frustrating. Again, the hypocrisy of this woman getting pissed that people are questioning her life when she has done that for 14 seasons to the other cast members. Erika and Sutton arrive, and Sutton sits down and she gets right to the point, and she's like, why are we here? Kyle's like, well, I wanted to apologize for the way I left Boze's house the other day, which is funny because Boze isn't there, and it was her house that Kyle stormed out of. And she tells them, you know, I'm still standing by what I said. I just went about it very badly. And Sutton's like, well, what exactly are you apologizing for? And I'm not really sure where she thought this question was going to lead. Kyle tells her, I'm apologizing for all of it. The crying, the yelling, the storming off. Sutton tells her that she would like it if Kyle would not walk away in the heat of the moment. And Kyle's like, well, for my mental health, I really had to leave at that point. But going forward, as a group, we really need to find another way to work through things. And they all pretty much agree.
My takeaway from this dinner is Kyle wanted to smooth things over. She knew me, Erika, and Sutton would probably be easier to smooth things over in a smaller group than if she had Dorit or Boze or anybody else here.
I think Kyle is afraid that this is going to be brought up at Garcelle's beach house, and she wants to know that she has allies. But I will tell you this, Erika might be a minion, but Garcelle and Sutton, we are not minions.
I 100% think Garcelle and Sutton are spot on here. Kyle called them specifically together because she knows that this whole thing is going to be brought up at Garcelle's beach house, and she wants to make sure that she has people on her side. It's pretty obvious that this is her objective, because otherwise she would have invited at least Boze to this dinner, because it was Boze's house that she ran out of. But she didn't. She just invited these three, which was totally strategic. The next day, Garcelle is at her beach house and she's making sure that everything is ready for these ladies. Everybody else is meeting over at Kyle's house to head over to Garcelle's. When Boze arrives, Kyle just greets her like nothing happened the last time they were together. What she really should have done is to take a moment to hug Boze and tell her that she was sorry for storming out of her house last time she saw her. I mean, she made the time to go to dinner with Sutton, Erika, and Garcelle to apologize to them, but apparently it was too much for her to even say anything to Boze when Boze showed up at her house. Dorit arrives last, and they ask her how she's doing, and she's like, I'm okay, but Jagger asked me this morning if Daddy and I were getting divorced because of what I posted on Instagram. I can't believe that there are still people out there that think PK and Dorit separating is fake for the show. There is no way that they would fake this to the point that their kids would start questioning them about it. It's clearly not fake. So while she's telling them the conversation that she had with Jagger, Sutton interrupts and tells them that she received a text from Garcelle saying that she wants this day to go well and to stay in the positive and that they need to go. I was like, oh my God, Sutton, you have no manners. I could see if Dorit was talking about PK or something else, because she does tend to drone on and on and on, but she was talking about her son and him asking about their divorce. And for Sutton to just cut her off was so incredibly rude. She has no couth. They arrive to Garcelle's beach house and she hands out loungewear for all of them to change into, which at first I thought maybe she was in some sort of a collaboration with this loungewear company, but I couldn't find anywhere that she had posted about it. So I think she honestly was just handing out loungewear to them, which seemed a little odd, but whatever. Jennifer gives her a Dolce & Gabbana toaster, which I went and looked up just to see how much this toaster was, and it was $700, which is a lot for a toaster, but honestly, I thought it was going to be more than that. So I was like, okay, $700, which I guess is not so bad considering we're dealing with Beverly Hills here. Erika was so excited for this toaster that she was clapping like a seal. They head down to the beach where it's all set up for them. Kyle and Dorit walk off to go talk. Boze tells Garcelle about how Jagger had asked Dorit if she and PK were going to get a divorce. And Garcelle recalls when her kids were little and she was divorced that Jax had told her that when he was with her and staying at her house that he missed his dad, and that when he was at his dad's house, he missed his mom, which is so sad because while kids are resilient, it just goes to show that divorce really does affect them. My mom and dad divorced when I was really small, like 2 or 3, so I really don't remember much of them being together, but I do remember how contentious it was between them, especially with my mom towards my dad. It was really messy and all of us kind of were caught up in it more than I think they realized we were. Really, the best strategy is to try and get along, even if you hate the other person, because in the end, it's going to make it so much easier for the kids. Down on the beach, Kyle and Dorit are talking, and Dorit flat out asks Kyle if she considered them good friends. And Kyle's like, yeah. And Dorit's like, do you want to salvage this friendship? And Kyle tells her, yes.
When you wrote to him and you said, I've never repeated anything that you said. Mm-hmm. I know that you were making him feel like he can talk to you, and you're not going to repeat it to me. It's okay.
Wait, hold on, but you can't say, I know that you were. I'm sending this text, and that was my way of saying, I'm a trustworthy person. I don't repeat things. And I don't. You know me, Dorit. In this group of all these years, anything anyone has confided in me, I've never repeated. That was just my way of saying, I'm a safe space if you need. I know he's not going to reach out to me if he needed to. He's got a million friends.
Regardless, you writing that to him, Kyle, in a separation when two people are separated, and this is the point, is that, are you my friend? Is your loyalty with me? Or are you his friend and your loyalty is with him? Because if you're my friend in our separation and your loyalty is with me, then even if you're writing that and you're saying I'll never repeat it,
I absolutely damn well think and expect you to share information that would be helpful to me.
Honestly, I don't think for a second that if PK did actually give Kyle information or confide in Kyle, and I'm pretty sure that he did at this point, that Kyle would tell Dorit. We already know that her and Dorit were not on speaking terms after last season's reunion. They were not on speaking terms when it was announced that Dorit and PK were getting separated. Kyle has already told us that her and PK are like brother and sister. So I don't think that Kyle would ever tell Dorit what PK has said about her or give her any information as to what PK is up to. Dorit tells Kyle that she would like Kyle to give her the same respect that she expects from Dorit, and that she would just like to be in a place where they can tell each other how they feel. And Kyle agrees. But I feel like Kyle kind of agreed begrudgingly, because she kind of paused and then was like, yeah, me too. I want that too. So I don't really buy it. Kyle tells us in her talking head that she's never been in a place where she's had to pick sides, because in the past, when she and Dorit would have issues, her and PK would still remain close. So obviously, Kyle's been on PK's side this whole time, because, as I said, Dorit and Kyle were not really talking when PK and Dorit announced their separation. She's obviously friends with PK, and Dorit is kind of like the outlier friend or the orbiter friend. She kind of comes and goes in the friendship, whereas Kyle and PK have remained friends this whole time. I don't know why she just doesn't come out and say, listen, I am closer with PK than I am with Dorit. Maybe she doesn't because of the show, because they have to come off as friends on the show, but I would rather watch her say, listen, I am closer with PK than I am with Dorit, than watch them try and rebuild this fake friendship that they have. They sit down for dinner and they play a game. Dorit tells the table that Erika has never been in love before, where you feel it with your whole body, which was kind of a weird thing to say. I don't know where it really came from. And Erika's like, yeah, I feel that with sex, but I've never felt it with love. And I'm like, so this whole time you were married to Tom, you never felt that? I understand if she fell out of love with Tom, but it sounds like she was never in love with Tom, even in the beginning. I understand he was a lot older than her, but I kind of thought it was more about his mind than it was his looks. But I guess not. It was all for the coin. I mean, whatever. A lot of women do it, so no judgment there. Boze tells them that she falls in love every other day. And then Jennifer tells them that she is in love with her boyfriend now, but she was also in love with her ex-husband. Just out of curiosity, I just went to go see how long she was actually married to her husband. And she was only married to Sam Simon for 7 years. That's it. And now she has more money than she knows what to do with. She has houses that she doesn't use. That's how rich she is. For 7 years of marriage. Whereas here, Erika was married to Tom for, well, she's still married to Tom, but they were married for over 20 years before their whole marriage fell apart. And she was left with nothing but legal bills. So Jennifer Tilly definitely made out better on that end. And she said she was actually in love with him. So there's that. The episode ends with them all going to release these lanterns. They were supposed to light these lanterns and then make a wish, and then the lanterns were supposed to blow away, like we've seen multiple times other people do. But none of the lanterns make it. They all rip apart in the wind. Their wishes blow away. There's a dead bird. It was nice to have an episode that finally ends on a good note without anybody screaming at each other. We get a mid-season trailer, which looks good. It looks like we're going to get a vacation, which I really think we need just to mix it up a little bit. And then it looks like we're going to get a little bit more with Dorit's divorce, which looks like it's going to get ugly. This was kind of a shorter recap, but honestly, there wasn't like a whole lot that went on with this episode. So that is all I have for you guys for The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. I will be back tomorrow or Friday with part 2 of the reunion for The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, which is only going to be amazing, I'm sure. So I will talk to you guys then. Bye!